Hi everybody, my name's Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. You know, I mean, I know because when, you know, all the people out there call and want to know about the guests, want to know about the show, want to know about the healings, want to know about the experiences we talk about, where the guests are going to be. I know the hunger that is out there, you know, on this planet at this time. I mean, now that, you know, the more places that bridging is shown at, you know, it's in like 150 cities now, and you can listen to them all on the internet, and you know, you could watch shows on the internet, and I know how many people reach out and are hungry to know truth, hungry to know love, hungry to have the experience of the oneness, of, you know, really in essence it's the love. To want to feel connected, to want to feel connected to themselves, to want to feel connected to the earth and the trees and the dolphins and the whales and the elephants and all the other people on this incredible planet. And they want, and they know somehow that that is the way it's really meant to be. That there is the potential for this earth to be a joyous celebration for us. That we as human beings can be in joyous celebration, in joyous collaboration. And yet something is a little askew, let's say. Something is a little off, something is a little disharmonious. And it's, you know, we're told that we're in separation. We're told that there are different countries and different religions and different sexual preferences and different heights and weights and all of the different states, different, you know, the Kiwanis Club versus the Lions Club. I mean, really, in a way, you know, different sports teams you root for. And it's, the separation, in a way, seems unending and almost infinite. And yet in our hearts, every one of us knows there is, that we're all the same love. That experience is available to human being. And that's why it's so weird in a way. Because we know that there's something in us that knows that truth, that central part of our being, that consciousness, that God within us knows that. And yet we live our lives as if that's not true. And that's the great experiment on this planet, or has been for a while. And now seemingly the experiment's changing. The experiment is changing where the energies are coming in, where the knowing of the sameness, the knowing of the oneness is stronger and realer and more direct in so many lives. And isn't that glorious? Isn't that the new paradigm that we're looking for? Isn't that the time, you know, the dawn of the age of Aquarius, the dawn of the age of love? And isn't it about time? Isn't it too stupid, really, to go on any longer? And again, you know, people come in from all over the world to share their gifts of love, their understanding of that, their stories of that. You know, Jann Weiss, you know, spends tremendous amounts of time in South Africa. She's a spiritual teacher and a healer. She travels worldwide, making her experience of that oneness, that love, that connection between species, that connection with intergalactic, interspecies, inter within inside, makes it real, goes around making it real. She's the founder of the Weiss Transformation Process that basically teaches that experience, to have that experience, to open that door, to open the door to the oneness. I mean, she does so much incredible work in Africa with elephants. They call her the elephant whisperer. I mean, you know, like the horse whisperer. And she does, I mean, I don't know whether we'll get to stories like that because she has such amazing bunch of stories, and maybe we'll do a healing or a teaching or something like that. We really almost never know until the show gets rolling to see, you know, how it goes. You know, she's an author, and her life is once again, you know, as I say, for every show, dedicated to that experience, to having it and sharing it. And then we have 2 videos and 2 music videos that, you know, I love because I, you know, wrote them with Lessia. We have Heaven and Earth and Oh Happy Day. and they're magnificent. And also, if you've been watching the shows recently, we're in the midst of this extraordinary international art project where people from all over the world are creating these new pieces based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth. And they're starting to come into Santa Barbara, where the Bridging Heaven and Earth Foundation offices are, and they're just unbelievable. And we just want you to have the experience of those paintings. We have one by Anita Saxon, who's from the East Coast of the United States, Sue Halsenberg, who's from Ojai. And as the shows progress, you're going to see more and more of these pieces. Maybe we'll even have a whole show where we show different art pieces of. They're just right now at this point we probably have like 75 world-class artists involved, and they're just putting in one incredible picture after another, and we're just so delighted to be part of that because of the energy of it, of all these people all over the world creating that. It's creating like a spider web of love, a spider web of collaboration, a spider web of connectedness. The new paradigm of just trust and collaboration. And don't we want it? Don't we think that that's about time? All right, so for tonight, let's start with a short meditation, then we'll have Heaven and Earth video. It's a beautiful, beautiful video. And then, Jann will be with us. And it's an opportunity to just settle in. Okay, so let's start with the meditation. Thank you. So, we're going to start tonight's show with the Heaven and Earth video. It was written by Lessia and myself, sung by Lessia. It's from the Lessia Bridging Heaven and Earth CD. The beautiful images on it, the slides are Walter Matheson, an old friend of Bridging, and beautiful creative being. So, Heaven and Earth.
Mason was the sweetest kid. He knew an awful lot till he grew up and got busy, and then somehow he forgot the stars dancing in his head that connected all in sight. His world was more wide open then. He really had it right. He knew the bridge between heaven and earth. He knew the magic of love and all it was worth. Jenny was a happy girl. She found bliss in every way. But then she had a life to run, and there was no more time to play. And though her long-held dreams came true, they didn't fit her well. She kept thinking she'd forgotten something, but she couldn't really tell. She'd lost the bridge between heaven and earth. She'd lost the magic of freedom and all it was worth. Why does our childlike wonders begin to slip away? Why does our open heart close down more every day? Why does our trusting spirit slowly fade to gray? Two TVs and 3 telephones keep us on the line. left our joy behind. Well, Mason saw the stars once, and Jenny knew the truth. With the packaging so good out here, we seldom seem to choose to take the bridge between heaven and earth. To feel the magical oneness we all sense at birth, to know the power of love and what it's worth. To take the bridge between heaven and earth. To take the bridge between heaven and earth. Mason was the sweetest kid who knew an awful lot. Jenny was a happy girl, but somehow they forgot.
Hi, welcome back. We're back with Jann here. Or we're not back, we're here with Jann. But we're back with this, I talked about some of the art project pictures coming in. Well, this one is by Anita Saxon. It's called Omega. She's an incredible artist, healer from the East Coast of the United States. And, you know, you can see what an incredible painting it is. So, but let's start with Jann. I'd love to get into, you know, her life. It's so incredible and powerful. So, when did you like catch fire? When did you know that like the oneness, the love was, you know, like driving your life?
Actually, I didn't know that's what was driving my life at first. I was pretty sure insanity was driving my life. I've been psychic since a child, like all of us, but mine wouldn't turn off, and one thing just kept leading to another, and the hands-on healing, being able to read people's bodies, and the channeling and all of that over the years. But I'll tell you where the love came in. The beings that worked with me, the beings that were giving me the information, the beings that were giving other people information through me, that's where I felt the love. And that's how I knew that it was safe enough to do this work and to allow them to work with me, was because there was so much love in them. And the way they delivered the information, the way they supported me. So actually my first experience with love was with those beings. And
unconditional love.
Oh, beyond. I mean, that is such a small word, actually, compared to the experience of it. So held, not a second of judgment, no matter what I was going through or how hard a time I was giving them. They just loved me.
And the they being, did these like guides, channels, how would you describe the information and how you were getting it?
Part of it was angelic. Part of it was a being called Melchizedek, and the other parts were aspects of my own soul. Now, at the time, I just thought they were guides, and different names were given. But what I realized about a lot of the support that we get etherically is actually our own soul talking to us, and it doesn't mind if you call it an angel or if you call it Christ or if you call it whatever. It's actually your own divine makeup, that stream of consciousness that comes from the source itself, what's animating your body. So Melchizedek was the name, and it was always about the practical application of our spirituality, how to live it in everyday life. It was about non-judgment. It was about accepting yourself and accepting others, and it was about the big picture. You know, what are we really doing as a species? The other thing that really drove me and keeps me on the road, really, because my life is so much in travel, was watching what happened in the people when they used the information. Watching their eyes get real bright, and watching that when the lights came on, and it was like, wow, and oh, and I can do this. You know, when they got some level of understanding about what else they were capable of doing.
The connection like that turned on.
Yes.
And it's so beautiful.
You watch that happen in that face and in that body, and that's what fed me. That's what keeps me going, is watching that. The other component to it, for me, is interacting with animals, the other species on the planet that share the planet with us, the other intelligent beings that share the planet with us. Working with a dolphin, for instance, looking into those eyes, experiencing those minds as they experience us, what they see, how they are so willing to work with us. even though we haven't a clue as to what they're actually doing, and the insanity that we carry as a species right now. It's like they are so non-judgmental. They may judge what we do as being pretty stupid or silly or even dangerous, but they never judge us.
Right.
And that was a training for my body to learn how to do that.
Right.
You know, and I think that's one of the biggest benefits that dolphins, for instance, give us, is their bodies are already doing what we're trying to train our bodies to do.
And how would you describe that?
Gosh. There is such a sense of oneness in them and connection. There was a dolphin named Dreamer.
Oneness and wonder.
There is the wonder. There is absolutely the wonder, but the wonder happens after the connection.
Right. Yeah, it can only be, not the true
I wonder
wonder.
how that happened.
Right.
I wonder how they do that. It's all amazing. It's all absolutely amazing. Dreamer, okay, a dolphin that I knew, watched her having a conversation with another dolphin, and this is in a facility in Florida. And she's talking, and there's a canal that separates the two sides of the facility, okay? So Dreamer's talking to Dingy. Dingy's the alpha female. They're having a conversation across the canal. When they finished, I said to Dreamer, but does it bother you that the rest of your pod is over there across the canal and that there's walls and fences and things? And she said, I'm as large as my pod. And I said, yeah, but if you were cruising the coastline, you'd have such freedom. And she said, I would still only be as large as my pod. And what she was trying to give me was a sense of how she feels herself, incorporating the other bodies into herself. And I think that's one of the most powerful things that dolphins teach us, is that we can be collective, we can be connected and still be individual. That there's a difference between being separate and individual, that you don't lose your individuality being part of the whole. And I think that's really important for us to get. That gives us the freedom.
It looks like a big difference, but it's really just a thin line.
It is a thin line, and it's worlds apart on either side. And I mean, they have been such an incredible education for me personally in my own personal healing. I had a fairly traumatic childhood. I really stacked the deck for myself. I wanted to cover all the bases. Yeah, it was sexual abuse. It was physical abuse. It was quite interesting.
Wow.
Childhood survivor.
Wow. So you want to know the hell first?
Well, actually, what I know about my childhood was it was an incredible training. That if I was coming into this life and supporting people in healing, I needed to know what that was about.
What pain was about.
I needed to know what pain. I needed to understand the compassion of the patients, having patience, addiction. Understanding all of that, being out of control, not being able to make a difference or feeling like you can't. So I understand all of that, and all the processes that I teach come out of that. In fact, the first one, what we call the basic process, actually came out of the loss of a baby, and carried him for 9 months, and then we lost him.
Wow.
And out of that rage and that anger and grief and guilt, my crew started stepping in and saying, show how you feel to Christ. And not being in a very good mood that day, I said, why? And they said, just show Christ how you feel. Fine, Christ, get your butt in here and I'll show you what this feels like. But there was a thing about allowing something, that level of consciousness, to have it experience the grief with me in my body. Not just thinking about it, but actually in my body. And we are experiencing the grief together. The grief disappeared. And not only did the emotional charges disappear, but I was getting another whole level of understanding of why the whole thing happened. So after I moved through that, I thought, all right, we're going after my childhood. And so I sat 4 to 6 hours a day with Christ and my crew, going through all the emotional charge that I had left from my childhood, the betrayal and the fear and all the stuff. And what came out was this incredible, comprehensive understanding of why I created that reality, and the incredible partnership between myself and my parents. And looking at those souls making that contribution in my life. And it was life-changing.
I would say.
And
Really.
so that's where the WTPs, the Weiss Transformation Processes, started, and they just evolved into working with reality, working with DNA, working with time, integrating aspects of your own soul into your body, actually integrating it into your personality, into your ego, into how the body operates, so that we have another whole way of experiencing life on this planet, and our relationships change. The way that I see it is we are a divine expression of the source, animating a human form, and that human form is basically animal, like every other animal body on the planet, like the dolphin body, like the elephant body, or the whale body. They are animals, and they have animal survival perspectives. But we are not the body. We are the soul that animates that body. And you have a certain amount of souls on the planet who just want the animal experience. We call that first agenda. They're just here for the experience, for the drama, for the pain, for the suffering, for the triumph, and that's all they want. Spiritual evolution is not something they're here for. It's simply for the animal experience. Then we have what we call second agenda, and these are souls who want to animate a body, who have an experience on this planet through a human body. But they want more of a soul perspective. They want less animal, more soul. And so most of the metaphysical work and the spiritual work that you see on the planet is these souls reprogramming their bodies so that they have the freedom to express themselves more freely. And of course, as you get more and more people doing that, then you have souls looking at each other, and you have a whole different kind of conversation going on. So that's what I'm seeing happening on the planet, is it's more soul, less animal. And if you look around the planet and you see how much chaos and crisis and craziness is going on, what I see is that we're actually now asking ourselves, are we complete with those paradigms? Are we complete with treating each other that way? Are we complete with those experiences? And I have a really hard time judging any of what's going on the planet, because I understand the first agenda need for those things. That's a soul request for those experiences. But I'm also watching a whole nother level of consciousness coming up out of the bodies. Being gifted with the opportunity to travel around the planet the way I do, I get to see the shifts in the different countries, in the different continents, and over the last 30 years, watching how we're changing. And I hate saying that I've been working that long, but never mind.
And you're only 28.
And I'm only 28.
So
I'm a
that's
wonder
another
child.
miracle.
A wonder
That's
child.
right. That's even
Thank
beyond
you.
the indigo children.
That's right. And also, that you talk about indigo children, that's another whole facet of it. One of the ways that soul is able to shortcut the whole process of creating a human body that's less animal and more soul, or at least more soul capable, is to change the genetics. And what we're basically seeing is that we're activating the higher frequency strands of DNA. So these kids that you call indigo, which is a terribly limiting label, actually
I
are
did
coming
it,
in.
but I didn't mean it.
Yeah, I understand. It's a start.
Right,
It's a catchphrase.
Sorry.
It's all right. No, it's okay. We forgive you. No.
Yeah, right. If you forgave your parents, you could probably forgive that
Anybody.
little, right. Yeah.
So, but what you're seeing is these kids are being born with more of the third and fourth, fifth strands of DNA activated. Well, now, when you activate the third, what you're seeing is more telepathic communication, but you're also seeing more of the collective, the connection, and that's why these kids have a really difficult time with authority. It's a we decide when I go to bed. We decide what I eat. They don't understand that because I'm your mother thing,
Right.
So that's part of the problem that's going on, is these kids are genetically enhanced. These bodies are genetically enhanced. They are not souls that are more special than any other soul. A lot of people say, oh, they're advanced souls, but they're not. These are souls that are cheating. They're coming in a body.
Mess we figured out. Somebody else cheating, just what the world needed.
But it's
oh my God.
It's like you have it's like you can change your VW, okay, into a Ferrari, or you can go buy a Ferrari. Mm-hmm. And so these people these souls are coming into bodies that are enhanced. So it's easier for them in terms of their telepathic abilities, their ability to sense the future.
Would you say that that the human species is evolving into this
Oh,
advanced
absolutely.
physicality.
Absolutely,
So,
that is
so
exactly
it's part
what's
of
going on.
the destiny of.
Yes,
Right.
and I that's why I said tongue-in-cheek cheating.
Right.
I'm one who, although I have a quote-unquote indigo body, I'm watching the bodies that are coming through now and going, do you know how hard I worked
Right,
to get to what
exactly,
you're doing
right.
at 2 months old? I'm very pleased for you.
Right. No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
So there is that going on. And again, going back to dolphins, for instance, they have their third strands of DNA fully activated. That's why the collective or connection is automatic for them. The other thing that all the other species do differently than us, or vice versa, is we have self-judgment. Nobody else on the planet does self-judgment. That gives us a very unique experience and negative contribution to the planet. But as you start activating the fourth and fifth strands of DNA, self-judgment is impossible. You forget to do that. So that's another thing that we're dropping out of our way of being. And that's going to change our contribution to the planet. So this is absolutely where we're going. This is absolutely what we're doing. These kids are not mutants. They are our next step. They are what we are becoming. And then you go back to the question comes up, okay, so how do parents whose bodies aren't as activated, genetically activated, how do they cope with these kids? And what we're watching is, under the heading of 100th monkey, is that as there are more and more of these children coming into the earth,
more and more of that energy,
it's
period.
easier for the
Right.
parents to begin to shift,
Right.
and people who don't have quote-unquote indigo children to shift. There is a collective intention, and because the intention is soul intention, there's nothing that can stop it. So everything that you're seeing on the planet right now is quite temporary. We're all on the way to something else. So another thing that comes up is we've got to heal our planet. And I'm going to the planet going, do you need healing? And she goes, I don't think so. And it doesn't mean that we don't recycle, and it doesn't mean that we don't get involved in making things more normal, more natural, more aligned.
Not do disharmonious things.
Exactly.
Right.
But we're not doing it out of judgment. We're not doing it out of fear anymore.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of the people who get so upset about the environment, what you're actually doing is polluting the environment with your upsetness.
Yeah, with the negative energy.
Yeah, so we're learning to be more neutral, but still active, non-judgmental, what we call detached compassion. When we get a minute, I can tell you a little bit. There's a story in South Africa. There were some elephants that were babies that were being very badly treated. And a lot of the South Africans, we had 7,000 people, if you can imagine, in Johannesburg picketing this place, protesting the treatment of these elephants. And what I started telling people was, what you're doing is hating the people that are doing this, and that hate those elephants are picking up on. Forget the humans. Feel how much you love the elephants, and let them feel that what you think and the energy in which you do it, the energy in which you do it makes a difference. Right. That's a contribution.
Well, it's only because everything's energy.
That's exactly correct.
Right.
And consciousness.
And consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, would you say what you just described is, you mentioned earlier the big picture? Mm-hmm. So would you say that what you just described is the way you would define the big picture?
The big picture is, yes, we are evolving. We are not the only species on the planet that is evolving. We are becoming more collective, more connected, and the side effect of that is more loving. The more connected you are, the less fearful you have to be of life up there. So the stress is eliminated, and then the joy happens. And then the wonder is like, oh my God, we actually did this?
Right.
We've actually
we
done
talk
this.
about it, and we see it so much, is like there's so much more of a collaborative, even in the spiritual community. We've been doing the show for probably 10, 11 years now. At the beginning, there was a lot of, there's just so much of this and so much of that, and it was hard for people to collaborate. Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing that breaking down to a large extent.
Yes.
And people are just, yes, I want to. Mm-hmm. I'll take that chance. I'll take that risk, because the rest sucks.
Yeah.
The competition sucks.
It's complete,
the lack of, that feeling of lack of abundance. It's just so much money, fame, whatever stupid things, just the limitation is just so depressing. It's so old paradigm.
It's just old.
Right.
Yeah.
And who wants to go there anymore?
Yeah. We're moving in a new direction. The train is leaving the station.
Right. Okay, on that note, it's interesting because the video we picked, we didn't know, obviously, we were going to do this, end with that thing, but the video is Oh Happy Day. It's a video that the song Lessia and I wrote, and listened to the words, and when we did it, it was like a manifestation of that, that love and that glory and that oneness. So Oh Happy Day. Mm-hmm.
divide us. Oh, happy day, it's a new millennium. Oh, happy day, with spirit that'll guide us. Oh, happy day, we can finally live as one. We've been lost in our illusions. We were brainwashed from the start. We've been captured by contradictions that confuse a gentle heart. We've been pieces of a puzzle with a picture so unclear. We could never make much sense of how to love or what to feel. But I believe we can do it. I think we stand a chance. It just takes a bit of knowing it's like learning how to dance. Since we are the world, we can change the world. Oh, happy day, see that kid out on the sidewalk. Oh, happy day, now he'll know that he is free. Oh, happy day, he'll never have to worry. Oh, happy day, what color he might be. When we thought we all were separate, well, it was easy to place the blame. We could label away the innocent, judge so many by the name. But when we all come together, things will be as they should be. It's time we all begin again to truly see what there is to see. And I believe we can do it. It's so easy when we try to feel the light between us and remember how to fly. Since we are the world, we can change the world. Oh, happy day, see that kid out on the playground. Oh, happy day, now she'll know that she is free. Oh, happy day, she'll never have to worry. Oh, happy day, what religion she might be. Oh, happy day, we're gonna build a new tomorrow. Oh, happy day, we surely know we can. Oh, happy day, we're not waiting any longer. Oh, happy day, it's all in the master plan. Since we are the world, we can change the world.
Hi everybody, we're back. Well, oh happy day. So the new painting here is by Sue Halstenberg. I'm Mani Padre Om. Obviously my Hindu leaves a little something to be desired, but isn't this incredible? So this is Sue Halstenberg's picture for the International Art Project. So you founded or created the transformation process?
The Weiss Transformation Processes, yeah.
And so why don't you describe that a little, and then you could take us through a tool in that, or a...
Okay, take you through one of the processes.
Yeah.
Basically, like I said, the first one came through the loss of a baby, trying to recover from that. My crew stepping in and suggesting that I allow Christ to feel it with me. I work with Christ, that's my own personal preference, and as well as my own soul. I understand that not not everyone works with Christ, but it's whatever your own higher power is. That's basically what we work with. But that's where the first one came through. And when I began teaching this process to other people in workshops, it was probably about 2 years later that another variation of that process actually presented itself in the workshop. And that's how all of the rest of the processes actually happened. They just sort of happened in a workshop or in a conference. And so there is the time process. And in that one, we actually work with a future self, a probable future self, to give us some perspective on whatever the problem is. It's like, if you've already healed that in the future, how did you do that? That's a good piece of information to have now. Another application of that is to actually go back into your childhood at a point where you learned something negative about yourself or decided something negative about yourself, and actually changing, back in the past, changing that information for yourself. Now, it is a memory that your body holds, so it's easy enough to change that. And probable futures do exist, and your soul has the ability to tap into those and present one or more of them to you to use. So the application of using time, this was in 1992, I think, when we started using time. Then the next step was working with the DNA, and that happened in, I can't remember if it was 92 or 94. That's so many lifetimes ago now. But again, activating the higher strands of information, higher strands of DNA, and neutralizing the genetic coding that no longer serves us, that survival primate information that we don't need anymore. So that started, and that's a specific process. Then the next step, which was a bit of a quantum actually, was what we call reality shifting. And that's you in partnership with your soul, creating another you that has less fear and more information about a particular issue. And the way that we did that was we'd actually have the person stand, and we'd ask the soul to create another them next to them that was different. And again, it had less fear and more information. Now remember, we are not solid. Ultimately, we are consciousness and energy. It's our brain that connects the dots and makes it look solid. So your soul, if it can create you, it can create another you right next to you. And what we would have the individual do is step into that other you and think again about the issue. And they would realize how differently they felt about the issue, or it was no problem anymore. We'd have them step back, and it was a problem again. Have them step into the new, it's not a problem. So what they were getting was a very clear sense of the soul's ability to just create new, and that we have the ability to adopt that, to take that, to integrate that, and become that. So it was sort of a shortcut in the healing process, so that you didn't have to go through issue after issue after issue and all the different layers. You could actually, again, in partnership with your soul, your higher power, step into you that doesn't have that same issue. One of the things that happened in my own life, and I'll share this real quick before we do a process. One of the beatings that I had as a child left me with a damaged spine. I had a crushed disc. I found it when I was 21 because of the pain, basically. I took x-rays and we found the disc was gone, dorsal bones were chipped and fusing. 10 years later, at the age of 31, another set of x-rays, the damage is, the disc is again gone, but the dorsal bones now are fused. Somewhere in my middle 30s, by that time I'd married a chiropractor, just because it was very handy,
very
absolutely.
Shrewd young
and he was good looking as well. Great chest.
We're going to leave it at that.
Great chest.
Right, great chest.
So at some point, and keep in mind that throughout my early 30s, I was trance channeling at that time. I was also working with Filipino Psychic Surgeons, and I was being trained in how to do that. Somewhere in the middle of all of that, something changed in my spine. And my husband recognized it and said, let's take new x-rays. Well, we took new x-rays, and it was a different spine. There is no crushed disc. There is no chipped dorsal bones. It was
and you have x-rays of before and after.
Yes, I do.
So you could show
I don't
busted
have,
up spine.
I don't have the old
Oh.
ones now. I mean, we could probably contact the chiropractors and go get those.
I'm just saying, generally speaking.
But yes, there is 2 before pictures and
fantastic.
two after pictures.
That's great.
So what I know is nothing is solid, nothing is concrete, and we have the ability to just recreate. And this reality shifting process that we teach is a step towards that, is actually learning how to do it for yourself. And again, it's in partnership with your own higher power. So it's always around your own highest truth. I didn't heal that spine 1 second sooner than it was important. In other words, when we manifest or create illnesses or imbalances or negativities, it's for a reason. It's for the experience, it's for the learning compassion, it's for all of the steps that we must take in order to heal. Okay, so everything's on purpose. So you can't arbitrarily just go heal something because you think it ought to be healed. It's important to get everything you're supposed to get out of that. Yes, the lesson or the experience.
Right.
And then you have the freedom to unmanifest it. And what I'm learning is that I didn't actually heal a spine. I actually focused myself into a body that never had the beating.
Wow.
That's actually what we're capable of doing. And again, this is something that I've learned from dolphins and I've learned from off-planet beings and my own crew, that we are not locked into any one body, we're not locked into any one reality, that we have the ability to withdraw our focus from a particular body and refocus into another one, that we can do that. And technically speaking, every morning when you wake up, you have to recreate yourself from scratch. In other words,
no wonder I'm tired.
See, if you do this process, it'll be easier and you won't be so tired.
God, man,
now
God,
you
I feel
understand. So the thing is that if we do have to recreate, if we have the ability to do that, then we can make bigger jumps, we can make bigger changes. What we do every morning is try to make today's body look a lot like yesterday so we don't freak out. In other words, if you wake up tomorrow morning and you're a different skin color or a different gender, it'd be a little disconcerting. So we try to keep them fairly similar.
The coffee house would have a very difficult time with it.
So, but never mind.
Yeah,
so that's a whole other show.
Who wants to go there?
That's a whole other show. So the thing is, when we get that when our body is comfortable with our ability to do this, then it gives us the freedom to start making bigger jumps between the bodies, do you understand, or the manifestations. And that's what we're learning how to do, that I can wake up tomorrow and be a much more different person than I was yesterday. And technically speaking, when we do some of these processes, when you close your eyes and you go in and you focus on your issue, and then you allow a shift in yourself, because you've allowed new perspective, your soul's perspective or whatever. When you open your eyes, you're actually not in the same body that you were in when you started the process. Mm-hmm. Technically speaking, that's how it works. We are such creators, and we just don't know it. And so what our processes are about is helping people to identify that for themselves and to learn how to do it step by step, very practical. Apply it to your life. Here's how you do it.
But it's more than changing the physical condition.
Yes, it is.
Like you talk about, less fear.
Yes.
More connection.
Yes,
so.
It is less fear. It's less of the old paradigms. And if you're doing the DNA process, for instance, any genetic work, it's less of the old survival programming in your body. So you're less inclined to become fearful. You're less inclined to judge. You're less inclined to have to posture, to stay one up, to avoid being one down, for instance. So all of our work ultimately is about empowerment. And it's about re-educating the body, and it's about giving the soul a greater freedom to express itself and what it knows. Remember, we are so much more, as you say, we are so much more than this body. We are a stream of consciousness that ultimately is the source itself. And that means that we, on those different levels, know all of those things about ourselves. And tapping into that wisdom that is our wisdom, that our power, our consciousness, our sourceness, if you will. Tapping into that and living it while in a human form is what creates heaven on earth. Exactly. Okay, yeah. It's not about leaving your body, it's not about going and exploring other realms. That's fine, that's fun. But when you get back, your body's sitting there going, where were you? Yeah, and nothing changes here.
Right here, right now.
So it's about integrating, bring all of that wisdom in here on a cellular level, on a molecular level, changes everything. Absolutely changes everything. This is what dolphins know. This is what whales know. And I'll tell you what's been fun in my life lately, Sasquatch, Bigfoot. Another set of minds that's on the planet, interacting with our species, coming more and more into our awareness.
Leaving big footprints in more and more
Absolutely,
places.
yes, they are.
Oh my
they
God.
actually are. And I have seen some pictures that have never been released to the public. And I know who these guys are. I know who these beings are. And they're all over the country. There are Bigfoot centers in Arkansas, in Texas, in Oklahoma, not just up in the Northwest.
There are a lot of jokes that go with that, but
Well,
I'm going to leave
I
them
know,
alone.
I know, I've heard them.
I sure don't want to go there.
And, oh yeah, you do, but you'll do it later.
I sure don't. I would have to get my gun rack out.
Get in so much trouble.
I would get in trouble.
See, I live in Texas, I can do that too.
I know you can. All right, well.
Okay, serious
Yeah,
again.
seriously
okay.
now, let's
Because
go.
spiritual growth is serious, you know.
I would get back and be serious now.
Okay. Where were we?
We
Okay,
were talking
Bigfoot.
about
We were talking about big
Bigfoot
feet,
with
yeah.
big- From
So-
Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. That's where it started.
it did.
Right.
It did. So anyway,
And I know why they're there. No.
do you?
As opposed to other places.
as-
No, go ahead.
so well, it's the mountains.
Mountains, you
It
find?
is. It's the mountains and the rivers and the caves. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
We knew we were playing around earlier. We knew we were going to
This was
get
gonna
into
happen,
that
yeah.
stupid stuff. And,
So anyway.
yeah, go on.
So that's another group of minds that's interacting with us and sharing what they know, who they are. They're again, the way that they are in their bodies is profoundly different from how we are in ours. Like the dolphins, they are much more evolved, less animal, okay, less primate. They are human. They are actually humans. They are a different type of human. Hanging around with them, allowing them to be in close physical proximity, like with the dolphins, gives our bodies, quote unquote, a taste or a sense of what it's like to be that way. And it's easier for us to duplicate it for ourselves. So that's one of the reasons that they're making
Kind of like
themselves...
rubbing up against the magnet.
In a way,
And then you realize
it
you're the
changes you.
magnet,
It does.
right?
It does. It changes you. It just gives you a way of... Look, we talk about being connected to all life, and we sit there and go, what does that mean? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Well, when you spend time with a dolphin, when you spend time with Sasquatch, when you spend time with some of these ascended beings, then your body gets a sense of what it feels like, because bodies talk to bodies. It's very telepathic.
Yeah, it's energy.
Yes.
Right.
So it's like, okay, now I know what that feels like. Now I can start duplicating it for myself. So this is one of the benefits of interacting with a lot of these different species, okay? And that goes also with a lot of who's off planet. Some of the groups that are off planet are also human. And spending time with them, or vice versa, even if it's just telepathically, gives us another way of doing it. It gives us a first-hand knowledge of it. It shortcuts the whole process, okay? Speaking of process, I want to show you what the basic
Please,
process
go.
looks like, okay?
Yeah,
this
go
is basically the one that they showed me to use to eliminate the grief and the guilt and all the side effects of losing that baby. First of all, we're working with your own higher soul self, okay? That's the first thing. Ultimately, it is for your own higher truth. That's what we're looking for here, is your own higher truth, okay? So what I'd like you to do is take a deep breath, close your eyes, and just go inside. And just be with your body for a moment. Be aware that your soul, your higher power, is in the air around you. And allow yourself to feel that higher power. It's not enough to intellectually know it. Allow your body to sense its presence. It's like a cloud of consciousness rubbing up against your body. Breathe it in. Give it permission to do this with you. Really breathe it in. We are the I Am. We do this together. Everything you do here is with the soul. Now allow yourself to focus on the one thing that you would change in your life if you could. What is the one thing that bothers you the most about your life? And be specific. And just notice how you feel about that issue. Now breathe in again the soul that's in the air around you, your higher power. Breathe it in and allow it to feel this issue with you. So you're not telling your higher power how you feel, you're allowing your higher power to feel it with you. Stay focused on your issue, stay focused on how you feel about the issue. And notice the change that's happening inside your body. For some it's very strong, for some it's subtle. And Alan, I'm going to ask you, are you noticing a change in how you feel about that issue?
Yes.
Can you verbalize for me what's changing?
I would say that the change is almost like a disattachment from a charge to it.
Right. Okay. You become more neutral.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead and go back inside. Stay with the issue a little bit more. And breathing in more of the soul that's in the air around you, your higher power. Breathe it in, again, breathing it into how you feel, however it is you feel now. Breathe it in. And what is the one thing that you know about this issue now that you didn't know before we started?
Well, the thing that seems to be coming is that it's not really important to my happiness.
It's not really important. Okay? And when you do this work, it's permanent. Okay, so go back inside. Again, breathing higher power into how you feel. Is there anything else your higher power, your soul, wants you to know about this issue? Is there any other information that your soul wants to share?
Do you want me to say
Sure.
that you'll get what you need?
Okay. Now, is that a thought or is that a feeling?
It felt more like a feeling.
It's something that you now know. And that's how soul communicates with us. That's how our higher power actually communicates. It's in a series of knowings. I know this now. I know this now. It's not just a mental concept, okay? So take another deep breath. One final time, allow yourself to feel.
I could be perfect by the end of this. This is
You
freaky.
you could.
Oh my God.
That's scary, isn't it?
Oh my God.
Ooh, yeah. That's another whole show.
Right.
So again, so you're breathing in your higher power, breathing it into your body. Thank it for what it's done with you here. And allow yourself, if you can, to get a sense of its gratitude, that it really appreciates the opportunity to work with you this way. How often does this happen?
I think in my own way I do it a lot.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I have heard your tapes, but if it came in, it was subliminal. But, you know, it's like a process of, I call it dropping down. You know,
Okay.
dropping in.
So for most people on the planet, actually being open to soul this way, allowing soul to interact in the body, allowing soul to share its perspective is rare. Very few people really allow the soul to work in the body. It's like, okay, we have conversations and we channel or we talk or we show or we pray or we plead, but actually allowing our higher power to get in there and actually make changes and to incorporate itself in the body and how the body operates, that's still fairly rare, but that's changing. But this is a step. This is one way of doing this. Okay? So when you're finished, what you normally do is you thank it and you allow yourself to get a sense of its gratitude, and then you take a deep breath and you say out loud, I am in your first name. Okay.
And I should do that?
Okay. Well, you're already out, so it's all
Oh.
right. But for the folks who
I
are watching
didn't
this,
do
you've
the
already come out.
process
It's all
well
right. No, you
enough.
did it. You don't
No.
need the grounding.
No, I
Okay,
know.
you're
I'm-
self-grounding,
right.
as it were.
Well, underground.
And we knew that about you. No.
Exactly. We went underground. Yeah, I think we got like a minute and a half left.
Okay.
So if you could say something in 30 seconds or 45 seconds that you would like people to know
Okay.
about your experiences.
The first thing is that we are obviously more than the human body. We are more than we think we are. That these are times of change. You are not crazy. Okay, everything that's going on the planet is on purpose and part of the shift. We're waking up to more, we're sensing more, we're feeling more. That's part of the process. Okay, don't be afraid. Talk to other people who are doing the same thing. Whether it's reading books or going online, find the other humans who are doing this with you. You are so not alone. This is a global phenomenon that's occurring. You are not alone. Please do not be afraid. Keep breathing in your own higher soul self, your own higher wisdom, and that helps sort it out for you. Okay.
Wow, amen, girl. You know, we're coming to an end of another show, and, you know, really it's about that empowerment, that consciousness, that love. So, you know, it's just really a beautiful time for us all, and we have the opportunity. So if you want any information, Alan, 805-687-2053, 805-687-2053. Good night, God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. Thank you.